Welcome to Frequency Matters, the RF Microwave Update Series. I'm Pat Hindle, and I'm here with my new co-host, Del Pearson. In this episode, we're going to continue our coverage of the May IMS and plus space and satellite themed issue. The space and satellite content is in a special focus section, and that gets carved out as an ebook for you can download that separately. And as a reminder, the cover feature is Overcoming the Limitations of Modern Signal and Spectrum Analyzers, a look into the future, and that's contributed by Rodian Schwartz, so a great article to check out. It looks at the new ways to make measurements for emerging technologies that are not possible today. Also in this issue, we cover the IMS 2025 event, and we have a welcome message from the chair, a bunch of new products, and an overview of the event that I put in there. So we covered the main section of the magazine in the last episode. So Del, what are some of the highlights from the Space and Satellite Special Focus section?
Pat, yeah, we had a great special focus this month. Our cover feature for the section is Key Considerations for Space-Grade RF Coaxial Interconnects from our friends over at Pasternak, and they provide some great detail on the risks found in space, as well as some tests to run and techniques to implement to mitigate those risks. We also have a great article from Neurospace, Space Situational Awareness Issues and Challenges, which addresses space congestion, collision avoidance, and removal measures. What did we have for product features?
Yeah, we had 3 product features. Vulcan Wireless has unlocking K and Ka band satellite communications with embedded encryption. Infineon IR High Rel covered their radiation-tolerant MOSFETs for the new space market. And Slipstream Design had a fusion of SDR and SoC technologies that are revolutionizing RF systems. And what do we have for a tech brief?
We had one tech brief in this special focus from Quantic Microwave Dynamics, introducing their new Whisper series of phase-locked dielectric resonator oscillators that operate across the X and Ku bands and are space qualified. And I heard you had a nice conversation today.
Yeah, I had a special guest join me, Elliot Fine, product line manager for space and high reliability at Analog Devices, talked about the space market with me. So let's take a look at a clip from that now. So what do all these radio opportunities mean for the RF and microwave suppliers?
Yeah, there are a few sub-trends that are getting my attention at the very least. So phased array is central to this. The ability to process more data while maintaining a tight power budget, which of course is critical in space. You can't just go up and add more fuel. They rely on, they need to maintain weight of the satellite and want to keep the battery packs and the solar panels as small as possible, especially as we move towards smaller satellites and more proliferation. We're also seeing emerging frequency bands, Ka, Ku, Q, and V. And then the increased data throughput means we need wider instantaneous bandwidth, and the breadth of frequency bands that we want to cover also means we need a wider bandwidth for our RF systems. So this all requires innovation of our RF signal chain, beamforming, and data converter components, and then the systems that will go into these satellites. So as a result, many suppliers, Analog Devices included, are moving towards more silicon-based RF solutions.
It was great to cover space trends in the space market with Elliot from ADI. So turning to the news, Raytheon was awarded a $580 million follow-on production contract from the U.S. Navy for their next generation jammer midband system. And under this contract, Raytheon will provide additional production of the next generation jammer midband pod shipsets, including pods for the Royal Australian Air Force, as well as spares and support equipment. And this jammer is an airborne attack system consisting of 2 pods containing active electronically scanned arrays, and they radiate in the mid-band frequency range. And the U.S. Navy employs these on the EA-18G Growler to target advanced radar threats, communications, data links, and non-traditional RF threats. And there was another news item that caught my eye. Acoustis Technologies announced that the company has successfully completed the sale of almost all their assets to Tune Holdings Corporation, and this is a subsidiary of SpaceX. So this is good for the employees since they'll be able to retain many of them out of bankruptcy, but very curious what SpaceX will do with this technology. So we'll try to find out more and report back to you. Del, what did you see in the news?
I saw a report from Del Oro Group that the radio access network market finally stabilized with its first growth quarter since Q1 of 2023. There are still challenges regarding 5G coverage imbalance and slower data traffic growth, but the full year outlook does remain on track. Strong growth in North America offset the declines in some other parts of the world, including China. Another piece that piqued my interest was invisible charging and personable cars, which of course addressed autonomous cars, but more importantly, especially for those of us up north in the cold, introduced the possibility of invisible charging via magnetic resonance or induction. I plan to keep a close eye on this as it evolves. And Pat, what do we have for upcoming events?
So all eyes are on IMS 2025 taking place in San Francisco the week of June 15th. San Francisco and Boston are typically the largest IMS events, both exhibition and attendees, so it'll be interesting to see how this year shapes up. I reviewed the conferences and activities in the last episode, so I thought I'd take a look at the exhibition floor this time. So let's take a look at the floor plan now. So here we have the IMS 2025 floor plan on the website. And as you can see, when you enter and face Folsom Street, you see all the booths. And the beginning booths are a lot of the smaller companies. Microwave Journal is in the 900s right here on the main row at the end of the booth. And then some companies like Mari took the entire row, so that's kind of interesting setup for them. But this is the main aisle with big companies like Keysight, Macom, and Analog Devices took some of the biggest booths, and also Aronia more toward the back. And you can see there's a lot of the major companies here, the system simulation companies like Cadence, Ansys, and Dassault are along here. The test companies, you have Anritsu, Rohde & Schwartz, and Keysight. And around Keysight, they always have their partners. So some of their major partners like Virginia Diodes and FormFactor are around them along with some others. Then you have some of the big component companies, Qorvo, some of the distributors like Richardson RFPD, and of course RFMW, our longtime sponsor. So you can see all these companies here, and they're organized pretty well. And then if you look the other way, away from Folsom Street, and I scroll down here, you can see they have the Societies Pavilion, the Startup Pavilion, the Hardtech Pavilion, and behind those are the Microapps Theater and the Interactive Forum. So look for those. There'll be a whole program going on in the Microapps area. And so with that, the floor plan has about 500 companies listed, and typically you'd have about 600 plus in Boston and San Francisco. So I'll have to see if they do fill that out in the end, but right now it's standing at about 500. Del, how about you for events?
Yeah, before I introduce some other events, I wanted to add a few things to our IMS overview, focusing on some of the technical topics and, of course, the extracurriculars. IMS kicks off Monday night with a plenary session from Dr. Paul Raj, a double E professor at Stanford, and Jin Baines, the CEO of Mini Circuits. I'm sure it'll be an informative and energetic kickoff, and we'll bring that energy over to the welcome reception on Monday night at the Museum of Modern Art. Then on Tuesday, we have the Women in Microwaves keynote session, as well as the Young Professionals keynote session, which highlights some very impressive professionals in the industry. On Tuesday night, we have the Ham Radio, Women in Microwaves, and Young Professionals receptions, so you can find me cloning myself to make it to all of those. And finally, Wednesday, we'll have the industry reception, as well as the MTTS Awards banquet. So lots of things happening at IMS, and I can't wait. Moving away from IMS, we have a couple of online panels coming up. We have OTA Your Way, Modular Chambers in VNA/Software, is May 30th with Millibox in Copper Mountain Technologies. And then on June 5th, we have the Satellite and Space online panel with Qorvo, Smiths Interconnect, and Nuvatronics. So sign up for those in our event section on the website. And I think that wraps up this episode. Our sponsors are RFMW and Analog Devices. RFMW is a technical distributor of RF and microwave products and now power management. When you start your next design, consider their multiple product lines. Analog Devices is a leader in the design, manufacture, and marketing of a broad portfolio of high-performance analog, mixed signal, and digital signal processing integrated circuits used in virtually all types of electronic equipment. And please remember, as a member of the industry, a subscription to Microwave Journal is free, so visit our site and subscribe today if you're not already a reader. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channels, and thank you for watching, and join us next time for Frequency Matters.